So now Israel has a real problem on its hands. Israel likes to say, we're looking for an Arab peace partner. They all love to quote Abba Eban, the Arabs never miss an opportunity for peace. A very clever line, always accompanied by the snickers. But now they have a problem. The Arabs say they're ready for peace. They say, we agree with what the United Nations has said. We agree with what the International Court of Justice has said. They said, we'll go beyond what the UN has said. We'll go beyond what the International Court of Justice has said. And now Hamas is saying the same thing. Well, Israel has a real problem on its hands, because any resolution of the conflict means it has to fully withdraw from the West Bank. That's the law. And Israel doesn't want to leave. So what is Israel to do? The pressure is going to build on it. Why aren't you negotiating with Hamas? They say they're ready for peace. So Israel says, but you know the Arabs. How can you trust them? They say one thing and then they do another. Well, Israel has a new problem. As I mentioned earlier, and as many of you know, in June 2008, Israel entered into a ceasefire with Hamas. And according to the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, go check its website, they say, quote, Hamas was careful to maintain the ceasefire. Hamas was careful to maintain the ceasefire despite the fact that Israel reneged on its obligation under the ceasefire. The terms were that Hamas would suspend its rocket attacks and Israel would substantially lift its blockade, its murderous blockade of Gaza. Hamas, quoting the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was careful to maintain the ceasefire, but Israel refused to lift its murderous blockade of Gaza. The official Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs website goes on, the ceasefire was sporadically violated by rocket and mortar shell fire carried out by rogue terrorist organizations. But Hamas tried to enforce the terms of the ceasefire on the other terrorist organizations and to prevent them from violating it. But now Israel is presented with a disaster. Hamas is not only talking moderately, it's acting responsibly. It's upholding the terms of the ceasefire. It gets worse. According to Yuval Diskin, the head of Israel's interior intelligence agency, the Shin Bet, he said Hamas wanted to renew the ceasefire with Israel. Now Israel has a huge problem. Hamas is talking moderately, it's acting responsibly. It's only a matter of time before pressure begins to build on Hamas or build on Israel to negotiate, to end the conflict diplomatically, to achieve a diplomatic settlement. But a diplomatic settlement means, as it has to mean, a full Israeli withdrawal from the territories it occupied in June 1967. Israel is determined to retain control of the West Bank. And so what does it do? It looks for a way to provoke Hamas and then have a pretext to go in and either knock out Hamas, and then it can claim we have no one to negotiate with, or inflict enough murder and mayhem death and destruction that the pressure builds on Hamas not to negotiate with Israel. And that's exactly what happened. We turn now to the end of 2008. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Levy, she says in early December 2008 that although Israel wants a temporary ceasefire with Hamas, it does not want an extended ceasefire with Hamas. That's odd. We thought that Israel doesn't want rocket attacks. So why wouldn't it want an extended ceasefire with Hamas? And she explains because an extended truce harms the Israeli strategic goal, empowers Hamas, and gives the impression that Israel recognizes the movement. And that's exactly right. If there's a protracted ceasefire, Hamas continues to act responsibly, i.e., it's careful to maintain the ceasefire. Hamas says it's interested in extending the ceasefire. Hamas says we're willing to negotiate on the June 67 border. Well, that will, to quote Gideon Levy, it harms the Israeli strategic goal of maintaining control of the West Bank. So as far back as March 2007, Israel decided to attack Hamas. And the Israeli papers were very straightforward. They said that Israel negotiated the June 2008 truce because, and now I'm quoting the papers, the Israeli army needed time to prepare the attack. Once all the pieces were in place, Israel only lacked a pretext. And when it lacks a pretext, Israel did what it always does. Namely, it looks for a way to provoke the Palestinians. And here it was fairly easy. They waited until November 4th, our election day. Everyone's attention, the U.S., was riveted on the results of the American election. And on that day, Israel broke the ceasefire with Hamas by killing 6 Palestinian militants, going into Gaza and killing 6 Palestinian militants. Israel knew and intended that it would provoke a Hamas rocket retaliation. It knew full well that that's what would result. And then when Hamas predictably resumed its rocket attacks, as the Israeli Foreign Ministry website says, go check it. The document is called the 6-month lull agreement. They said Hamas resumed its rocket attacks in retaliation for Israel's entry into Gaza and its murder of 6 Palestinian militants. And now Israel can embark on its invasion of Gaza in order to foil what Israeli political scientists call, and I like the term, to foil another Palestinian peace offensive. That was the problem. It's those diabolical Palestinian peace offensives, and Israel went in, and with some success, one could say, beat back another Palestinian peace offensive. Thank you.